Hello, my darlings. Thank you so much for joining me today. Here we're going to make a wonderful snack that's perfect for this time of year. You can share it with all your unloved ones. It's very simple to make, and I'll show you how to do that in this video. If you have any particular questions, you'll be able to find the answers in the description box. Here's what you'll need. A package of marshmallows, small or big, it doesn't matter. About 10 ounces. You'll also need a Tootsie Roll. I have a package of 2 here. You'll need spearmint leaves for decoration. Salted butter. Orange food coloring. Of course, you can always use red and yellow, but I happen to have orange. And some disposable gloves to protect your hands from the elements. In addition to these things, of course, you will need a stove, a bowl, a pot, a knife, a cutting board, etc. Personally, I like to make these at all time of year, but I know that for you, this is the month when these are deemed perfect. So, let's get started. To start, there's things that we need to prepare. We'll begin with the spearmint leaves. These are quite simple. All we need to do is cut them right down the middle. If you accidentally cut your finger right down the middle, it can also be used for decoration. These come apart quite easily. You don't need to do too many. There'll be quite a few left over. If you feel like you need to lace them and give them to children later this month. Maybe your own children. How delightful. That should be enough. You can use the same cutting board for this next part. This will be opening up the Tootsie Rolls. I need a much bigger knife for this. Luckily, Tootsie Rolls are pretty much pre-cut. I need quite a few of these. You may have to cut the whole bar. And we're done. A small assemblage that we can use for our decorations. So here we have our stovetop, where we're going to make the majority of this treat. If, like me, you don't have a traditional cauldron ready, you can always use a regular non-stick pan. Our first step is to, over very low heat, melt 3 tablespoons of butter. And then the third. It's especially important not to use super high heat right now. And once our butter is melted, we can start putting in our marshmallows. So we're just going to gently stir. You can probably already see them melting. This looks like a lot right now, but once they melt down, it won't seem like quite so much. It's really important to stir constantly, otherwise you'll burn them. They're all starting to stick together. Oh, it reminds me of that beautiful day we had Uncle Waldo cremated. Be sure to mix through everything very well. Make sure there are no lumps, at least not in the pot. Once your consistency is ooey gooey, we need to add in the food coloring. This is in a paste form, but of course you can use liquid. Isn't it beautiful? can add the coloring to your taste, but I like to do a lot. Now comes the fun part. We start adding in our Rice Krispies. We'll just start with half. Now turn your heat off, and we'll bring these over to our decorating board. So, I've just washed my hands. And now my first step is to put a small amount of butter or cooking oil on my hands. Otherwise, things are going to get a little sticky. You can use Pam or any type of cooking oil. And you need to make a small pumpkin shape using a chopstick. Put a little hole. And while it's still warm, put it on our tray to harden. You need to be careful because this is a little warm, unless you like burns, and I know some of you do. If you like, you can use gloves for this, as I did show, but myself, I don't mind getting a little messy. This recipe makes quite a few pumpkins. They're perfect if you're making food for any type of seance. You have to do this a little bit quickly, otherwise the Rice Krispies start to harden before you can make them into a pumpkin shape. If you find that the marshmallows start to stick to your hands, just use a little more oil. Or blood, whichever you choose. This recipe yields quite a few pumpkins, depending on how big you make them. Be sure to throw your pot that's used in the wash with some soak. Otherwise it will stick to this more than a mummified corpse. Our final step is the leaves. Very important. You need any type of gel icing or any icing in a tube. I like the red because it looks like blood. Perfect. And we're done. Thank you so much for joining me as we made our delicious holiday get-together pumpkins. And if you should decide to throw in an extra ingredient to teach those ne'er-do-well door-to-door children a lesson, so be it. Happy Halloween.